No. Sweet. All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the Redpill station. I'm here with Ryan and Stacy Edwards here, the crypto couple, and we are going to be talking about cryptocurrency on the show, blockchain, Bitcoin. You guys have heard all the terms, but we're going to actually try to break those down so people can kind of understand those a little bit more. And if you guys want to go first well, actually, you know what? Let's talk about like how did you guys get started like with like cryptocurrency and everything else and Bitcoin? I mean, was Bitcoin your first cryptocurrency?
Yeah, so Bitcoin was definitely the way into it. We actually first heard about it in 2011, and from the webbot Cliff High, and started hearing about it, and we're like, okay, what is this internet money? Like, we don't really trust it. So yeah, first heard about it then.
And we actually bought a bunch of silver instead.
Yeah.
So we're like, we want to do some investing.
Oh, wow.
There's this thing called Bitcoin, and we didn't get into it. We bought silver.
You guys bought silver first. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Did you guys do gold or anything else, just silver?
No, silver was easier to come across.
Cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, cheaper. You know, so you feel like you actually had some. And buying silver instead of Bitcoin was a huge mistake that we ended up realizing that we were making. So to correct that mistake, in 2017, we sold all of that silver and went into Bitcoin with that, which we had taken a loss on the silver, but we had realized, you know, we had lost out on millions of dollars by not buying Bitcoin when we first heard about it.
Yeah.
But you know, we sold it and bought Bitcoin in 2017 in, you know, July.
Nice.
Which was really exciting, and we're really glad we did, and we've kind of been addicted ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm totally like ignorance on fire when it comes to it right now, because I talked about it in 2011. I told everybody to do it. Had a friend that I know that literally made $300,000 to $400,000 on it.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Because of what you told him?
Because of what I told him.
That's awesome.
Ridiculous, yeah. And literally know somebody else. I have another friend that has his brother made almost the same exact amount.
Wow.
Just by doing cryptocurrency. Sold it kind of at a weird time for him. It was only like, I think it was at 12 or 13,000 mark.
Okay.
But he sold it then, and then he's doing great now. And he's a huge believer, obviously, in it. Me, I was a huge believer just because of the fact that I am, you know, totally anti-Fed and anti-fiat. To me, it was a way of like just, wow, this is how we can take control. It decentralizes the money. This is amazing. I love this.
Absolutely.
And I mean, ever since then, I was like, no, buy Bitcoin, telling everybody to buy it. And then when it started blowing up, I was like thinking in my head, see, I told you. And I was like, wait, why didn't I know I told people, but I look so stupid right now. Like, I didn't even capitalize on it when I should have.
Well, we really don't think it's too late.
No, it's not too
The
late.
way that the market cycles run, this has been a market cycle, but a new one is just beginning. So there's new opportunities out there. It's not over. So
Nice.
you didn't miss your window.
I know.
One window
man.
closed, another one is going to open. So we're going to be good there.
Shoot. So I guess like when it comes to cryptocurrency, and when you talk to people about it, they get really, really confused about it. They have a lot of questions on it. On like what it is, or why is this something that's tangible? I mean, to them, they think of it and they go, well, it's internet money, you know, and to them it's this thing, oh, it's just, well, you know, what's internet money? How would you, I guess, when you talk about cryptocurrency, I have to first, which is why I have this shirt on, you know, blockchain. I'll say blockchain one more time. I have this shirt because when I try to tell people what it is, it's so frustrating because I'm like, it's blockchain. And they're just like, blockchain? Yeah, blockchain. Like, blockchain. Say it one more time. Like, it's blockchain. It's not hard to understand. But, like, when you break down, like, a diagram of what it is, I mean, for me, it's easy just because, you know, I build computers, you know, software, things like that. It makes sense to me, and the way the world's going, it makes a lot of sense. How would you explain, like, the blockchain to somebody?
Well, before you start explaining it, it is kind of like explaining somebody, Andreas Antonopoulos always gives this example of it's like trying to explain what email is to somebody in 1992. Like, there's just no way to explain to somebody who has no worldview of how that could possibly work, how it's going to work. And that's why it's so hard to talk to people about it, because it is a wholly new technology that we don't have the basis for understanding yet, but we will. So it just takes time. So really for us, it's about simplifying it. And sometimes we use really simplistic examples, and when we go to Bitcoin meetups and we talk to people who are talking about it on a more technical level. I'm sure it might be frustrating for them to hear us explain it to new people in a more simplistic way, but we really want new people to understand it and feel excited to get into it. And people aren't going to be excited to get into it if it's so complicated that they don't understand it.
Right.
So we try to make things really, really simple, but go ahead and explain what would you say.
I mean, that was a great way to say it. Yeah, so blockchain is, it's basically like a distributed ledger. So you can think of it as like an Excel spreadsheet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a distributed Excel spreadsheet that everybody has a copy of the transactions that have occurred on that ledger. So everybody has the same copy, and because it's distributed, it is stronger.
Nice. So kind of like, I like that point because it's distributed amongst everybody. So it's because a lot of people, I guess where I break it down is I talk about it being centralized and decentralized. And something being centralized is, and I've heard a few people use this example, it's a really good example. They'll basically say it's like Wikipedia versus an encyclopedia. You can take something like an encyclopedia where they'll take like, maybe 1,000 people or whoever amount of people that are indexed at the end of the book that say, okay, this is the person that we can reference to when we're talking about where the definition came from, the origins. And you have your book, and the people that are allowed to purchase that book get the information, and the people that give the information, it's all centralized. You know what I mean? Versus we have something else called Wikipedia. You can go on your phone and ask Google, like, hey, what's the definition of this or definition of that? Pulls up Wikipedia, shows you definition, shows you everything you want to know about it. And guess what? The author of that is on most subjects over 300, 400,000 people that can log in and basically go in and re-verify and see that, hey, no, this is the right definition, this is that. It's hard for someone to change that information, even though some people say some of it's wrong, some of it is, but for the most part, all the information, everybody can all legitimize it and come to consensus that, hey, this is the correct information based on this subject. So it's decentralized. Now we all have a piece of it. But the part where I get stuck on, though, is when I'm trying to explain it to, like, because I know you said it's a copy, right? Mm-hmm. So how would we explain it? Is there a way to explain it when we say, well, if I give a copy to him, so if I give a copy of $100 to, like, my friend Rob over there, then I shouldn't have $100 still in my pocket. He should have it. But how is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the copy, basically, the $100, if you think about it in Bitcoin terms, never leaves the blockchain. So you're not actually giving him anything. On that ledger, it's just basically, it's moving the sticky note that says, okay, it's not Tony's anymore, it's Rob's, right? And so you're not actually giving him anything. So the copy stays the same.
It's like a digital notary.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, perfect. Okay, nice. So it's no longer mine. Now the name changes to his.
Exactly.
And everybody verifies that.
To go through, that validation. The miners have to validate it, and they all have to independently look at it. A certain amount have to independently look at it and say, yep, that is in fact, you have the $100 in your funds, and you are in fact sending it over, and okay, and then they have to agree on that. And if they saw that you only had $99.99, your transaction would not go through because you have that oversight of all of them, having to just agree upon it before it can go through.
Exactly. No, I like that. Do you guys, so my question to you guys, so I know we have Sean Alami here and Mr. Rob Coates here, Coats Not Jackets. And you guys are kind of, I talk about this at work like constantly. And Sean is actually into investing. He loves investments. Like what, just from hearing that so far, like what do you take from that? Like just with Bitcoin or just with blockchain, sorry.
I think that the risk, there is a certain amount of risk out there by getting out there and getting into the cryptocurrency. I myself have taken different chances. I've invested in different companies that do crypto mining, and so I have seen this trend where around this time last year, November, we noticed that cryptocurrency had started to take a rise, and by the time it was right around December 11th, where it hit the peak, close to around $20,000 a coin. I think that it's hard to explain, but it's not. A lot of people are looking for a for sure thing, a promise, something that can be tangible that they can say, hey, you know what, cryptocurrency, it's backed by the federal government. it's backed by the Securities Commission. You know, if I put my money in it, my money will be safe. I'm not going to just lose it. But you know, this is a good start to a process. I think there's a lot more that we need to learn about cryptocurrency and how it works and how we can be safe with putting our money into it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that is going to take time. I think that this rise that happened around this time last year was maybe of things to come. I know that you can use cryptocurrency for almost anything, and there's a lot of several examples that I can go into, but I think the future of it could be wide open.
Cool. So, and you mentioned a mining company you were with, right?
Yes.
And then you guys were talking about miners. Something I love the fact that, like, the other day I was like thinking about it. You guys remember, like, this movie? I'm trying to think. This was like, you get Ready Player One. You guys have seen this, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So, if you're having a hard time, like, kind of understanding, well, Bitcoin, for instance, like, to me, it's crazy because this man, James Holiday in the movie, right? He reminds me so much of, what was his name? Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
This is the Satoshi Nakamoto, like, period. Like, the fact that he's which we all haven't really seen who this Satoshi person is,
Yeah.
right? He goes out and he has 3 keys that everybody in the game
What?
has to find, right? And when they find these keys, they basically go and they have to, well, in this game, they're basically playing a game. They race or they do something. Well, it's funny, they race. But what do Bitcoin miners do? They race
Race to finish the block.
to finish the blockchain. And then once they finish the blockchain, they receive the Bitcoin in the end. And it's funny, but you receive the key. And once you receive the key, once you get all the keys, which I would call it a blockchain, you actually then get the ultimate prize in the end.
Wow.
But I just think it's like so crazy that like Ready Player One already like kind of explains Bitcoin in the entire movie. It's so amazing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I don't know. Does that help a little bit understand like Bitcoin, or did you have a question, Rob, on that?
I think
Or-
that's a good example, especially if you're trying to, you know, explain this to someone who doesn't understand what, you know, what the blockchain is. And I myself, I'm not an expert in dealing with cryptocurrency. I know enough about it as far as, you know, the mining process, the part of, you know, trying to figure out where you move and things like that. But as far as the intricate details where you can really start monetizing, I think similar in explaining this is helpful.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, especially in Tony and I share the same view, I'm totally against the Fed.
Yep.
So
And we are
anyone that has that same mindset should be open to another way, regardless if you are into it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Be at least open to hear what it's totally about, or at least
Yeah.
experiment with it. If you lose, so what? If you're doing stocks is gambling.
Yeah.
Like, you just think of it like, okay, I threw this away. If I lost it, it's gone.
Yep.
And,
Go ahead.
Just to explain blockchain a little bit more in depth too, it's a peer-to-peer network of people being able to be connected in ways that we've never been connected before. And another benefit that comes from that is efficiencies. So if you don't have to go through a middleman, it's actually called a disintermediary when you're cutting out a middleman. And what do middlemen do? They usually cost money, right? So if you're trying to send a wire transfer from here to South America, you might have to send it to, you know, San Diego and then somewhere in Mexico, and then it's going to go multiple places. And each time it does that, it's going to cost a fee.
They're all taking their cut.
They're all taking their cut for
Yeah.
providing that service. So Bitcoin is an example. Using the Bitcoin blockchain for a currency is an example of being able to cut out a middleman, and it saves a lot of money that way. So it absolutely has.
Closer. There you
It
go.
absolutely has the revolutionary aspect as well. That's when, you know, that anti-Fed Bitcoin is a more secure store of value than the dollar is. Certainly, that's something we talk about a lot in all of our social medias and every time we talk to people publicly. But blockchain offers a lot of efficiencies separate from, what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin was just the first blockchain. And that's why people are so excited about it, because it defined this new territory that we've never seen before that's going to benefit us in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think that as cryptocurrency grows from its infancy and becomes more popular, I think that people need more some kind of peace with understanding. First of all, understanding it, and also the peace of mind that that the value will hold. I've invested a lot of my money into a company who had nothing to do with cryptocurrency, and come to find that they because of all the hype and everything that started this time last year, they started getting into the mining, and that's another aspect of cryptocurrency. And as they got into it, they invested a lot of money.
Is secure or?
Well, people want security. They want to feel like
It's the most secure thing I've ever seen in my entire life. One of the reasons why, it's kind of, if you guys want to jump in anytime.
We'd agree with that
So,
statement.
yeah, immutable assets are huge when it comes to like cryptocurrencies. Because you have to realize, and I don't know exactly where this, I know in a lot of Latin American countries, my own grandmother, for instance, and my wife's grandmother as well, lost pieces of land because of the fact that nothing was immutable. Like the government came in. It doesn't matter. You could have a piece of paper that says, I own this land.
Yeah.
But the government can just say, actually, we have a different piece of paper that says we own it.
It's confiscatable.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's why you pay property.
Domain in a situation.
You pay property taxes if you stop paying your property tax. Yeah, it's.
Do you feel that that we're headed for a crash then? Is it money going to become so devalued that it's not worth?
We've had a lot of crashes.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve is great. Central banks are great at creating crashes, because when they do that, everything shuffles, and the people who know the crash is going to come, they make out really well from that crash. So there's going to be another crash. You keep printing money, and it's going to continue to be devalued.
Well, so every new dollar that is printed devalues every other dollar already in existence. So when a new dollar comes out, the dollar in your bank account goes down in value. And there's this inflation rate that's acceptable of 1% to 2% per year. So, for some reason we find that acceptable because of the way our economy is built, but it's actually closer to 5%. People say it's 5% inflation rate is actually what that is. And what that means is that every 15 years, the money in your savings account loses half of its purchasing power.
So do you feel like it's a popularity when it comes to saying, hey, money is more valuable than crypto, or is it just people don't know about it? How would you?
Yeah, people don't know the problem.
Yeah.
How many people know that the Federal Reserve? How many people know the Federal Reserve isn't federal and it doesn't have any reserves? How many people know that?
That's true.
Nobody knows that. It's a small group of people who were unelected by the American public that control monetary policy. And if you want to break it down, money is just a store of our time. We trade our time. We trade 40 hours a week or whatever, you're working for these pieces of paper. And if a small group of people are actively in control and decide to devalue those pieces of paper, they're devaluing your life. So it disincentivizes saving. It disincentivizes your life.
Well, they say that right now, if you had $1 million today, your $1 million today will not be worth, let's say, by the time you retire 30 years from now, $1 million. With inflation changing and things costing more, and the devalue of your money, you're going to be almost left with nothing. So it's investments, and that's another thing. People invest their money hoping to gain it or keep it as current to the value that by the time they retire, they'll have something to fall back on. Because and a lot of people, that's why they put their money in their into the house, try to pay off the house so they can have the house because they know the value of their home is going to go up. Into stocks, but stocks and putting it into 401ks, IRAs, and things. It is risky because if there is a crash, you're going to lose the value that is gained.
Man, 98% in 100 years is risky.
Yes.
That's way riskier than anything else,
Yeah, and hopefully, if crypto can gain popularity enough to put people's mind at ease so they can, or open their mind to learn more about it, get familiar with it, and I think that would be good. But everybody's looking for a guarantee, I think, and that's another thing too. Because when I bought my shares of stock in this company, I had no idea they were going into mining, and then they went into mining, and then all of a sudden Bitcoin went back down, and then now, I got out of it, and broke even, but I didn't lose like other people might have lost. So and that's one thing you have to be careful.
Dang, it's all about I don't know. I'm not into like stocks like you at all, but man, to me personally, I feel like I can see trends, like especially with social media and things like that.
Technology.
And right? And then like with technology and like AI and like everything that's there, and that's why I actually want to dip in Ethereum, because that's going to be oh my gosh, like okay, sorry, hold. Man, I'm getting too excited, but I was just like, man, I'm telling you, like imagine this. Okay, so you're talking about the fact of like, let's say for instance we have things like it's a true sharing economy, like it really is. Like we no longer have to like worry about. It's almost like, I don't want to say that we're sharing a business together, but let's just say, for instance, something like Airbnb and like Uber. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people realize, they're like, oh yeah, see what they do? They create jobs for people, and I'm thinking to myself, not really. Like, could you imagine if like, let's say for instance, Uber was like each person that like, got a ride in certain areas, and like, it's hard to explain with like Ethereum on how they were able to share that, right? But they literally wouldn't like. Gosh, do you know how to explain that? Like with a true share economy, when it has to do with like the blockchain.
I'm not quite sure what you're.
Do you mean by like cutting out a middleman? So
because
you're basically making something like Airbnb.
You would make all the money, versus it would be a platform that's built just for you.
From the driver to the passenger, without Uber in the middle. Or from the person who's renting the room to the person who's providing the room without Airbnb in the middle.
Exactly. Thank you.
And think about what a large cut Airbnb and Uber are taking from the person actually providing the service. And that's definitely, think about how much money these middlemen take from every aspect of our lives. And that's government aside and how we're taxed in 1,000 different ways. But middlemen also take these cuts and these shares in all these different places. And if even a few of those could become more efficient, that's more money in all of our pockets, right? And what does that mean? It means maybe we get to work a little bit less, or maybe we get to have a little bit better lifestyle. So there's a lot of benefits that can come from creating more efficiencies.
True. I mean, even because having my family that lives in Mexico, like when my mother or my grandmother has to wire money over there, they take like 10-12% of the money.
It costs like $50.
Like the Western Union,
what HHG's Western Union.
Yeah.
They take that much. With the blockchain, you wouldn't have to do that. Something like Ethereum would build in smart contracts and build in code that would automatically have everything preset, and it would find the closest local teller, and she would get her money like that. Like, it does so much. And what I meant by what I see when I see trends, I only see technology growing. I only see things only getting easier for us. And when it comes to blockchain, especially the fact that Amazon, they had the special on smart refrigerators, and somebody had made a joke, well, a lot of the smart refrigerators are going to actually start running off blockchain. And like when you run out of certain things, a drone's going to actually send like food to your home. You realize with Ethereum, everybody gains rewards on that. Like you would get a reward. I mean, even in that aspect, even though it'd be a little more centralized because Amazon would be the middleman, they would still get a reward from it. Everybody would still get something out of the deal.
And if they're saving money, if Amazon's able to provide the service to you cheaper, then they're not going to have to charge you as much for those goods that you're purchasing, and then once again, more money in your pocket.
No, I was just going to say, Sean, you were talking about, kind of more people wanting the peace of mind. I think before we can even get to the peace of mind, I think for the majority, people need to be more educated just on cryptocurrency in general. I think that's the biggest hurdle. You're not going to convince someone who doesn't know anything about cryptocurrency to hop onto that just because they watch a podcast or have a conversation. They literally need to be educated about that function of the money that they actually think they have value in now. Yeah. That's the part that they have to start thinking about.
That's the next podcast. Perfect.
Yeah. As far as
spoke to like 70 high school seniors a couple weeks back, and it was an economics class. Okay. And the teacher invited us in, and I don't think she knew what,
oh, yeah,
what
she
we were
didn't know what
coming
she
in
was
for,
getting into.
right? She had no idea. Because the whole
no.
first part of our presentation was why the value of the dollar is going down, why the dollar is no longer a hard money and a good store of value. And so we demonstrated where the dollar is at in real time, you know, and then we talked about, well, here's where Bitcoin's at, and here's what Bitcoin could be headed. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. People don't understand. I mean, this class of students sitting here learning economics every day, they had no idea that the dollar had lost 98% of its purchasing power.
I think that was amazing. How long ago did you do that?
Like a couple weeks ago. And
I think that's very amazing because I think all of us, everyone in this room has been in high school and has completed high school. High school and even I've gone to college, don't teach you how to make money. Yeah. They teach you how to get a job. Absolutely. And there's a big difference between those two things. And I think something what you guys just did, whoever those students were, their eyes, at least a good percentage of them, someone's eyes are going to be open to that fact. Yeah. That what they've been learning in school is basically to obtain something that you got to put in time, as you talked about, to earn this piece of paper or this value that you say that I need to buy what I want.
That's why we thought it was so important to share that message with people who are like 17 years old, because you're right, they're looking down that path of being an employee. You're right, that's what they're getting taught in school. It's what they're going to get in a bunch of college debt for to become an employee. And so we just wanted to give them this different perspective of the dollar that you're going to go get in a lot of debt and work really hard to earn is going to continue to lose value. Because I don't know, I'm sure you guys feel it. Like, I look at my grandparents' generation and they're retired and they're having some pretty nice cruises and living life. I look at my parents' generation, it's a little bit harder for them than it is for my grandparents.
And it's going to be harder for us.
And then I look at our generation and I'm thinking, we're getting squeezed. This is harder than it's ever been. And a lot of people don't like to talk about that because there's kind of this level of denial that people don't want to realize how hard it's gotten. But why do you think people tease millennials for living in their parents' basements and stuff? Because the value of the dollar has gone down so much. I had a job at a county, $17 an hour. Do you know what $17 an hour is after you work 40 hours a week? Less than $2,000 after all the benefits. That is poverty level. How is one person supposed to pay rent and live on $2,000 a month when the price of groceries and every insurance in your car is so much more than that? We're being squeezed, and so we need an alternative, and there's never ever been one before.
Yeah, I agree. I think the function. I think at the end of the day, I think we kind of have an agreement. You know, the system is broken, and we kind of have to understand the fact that it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to fix the system. So why don't create something or go online with something that's going to work for you, which could be cryptocurrency for a lot of people, because like you said, making that type of money, you shouldn't be at poverty level, or you shouldn't be at a level where you're so squeezed or you're so pinched that you cannot sustain a suitable life for yourself.
And I went to college for that job, right? Got a degree for that job.
And that's the difference. And you said that comparison is real funny. You know, like our grandparents were much better off. The industry was different. You know, it's an industrial industry, but at the end of the day, you know, at that same time, our grandparents, a lot of things outsourcing started to come into play. And then you start talking about deregulation when it deals with outsourcing of those jobs, because usually, like a lot of those factory jobs, a lot of those industrial jobs that were here in the United States were in the communities that they lived. So number one, they didn't have to travel as far to go to work. All those jobs provided pensions and things like that, and retirements that probably paid them about 80 to 85% of their pay as they retired. So they were a lot more better off. Yeah. But then once the government gets involved, corporations take over, the corporatocracy takes over, and they're trying to monetize their profits to the highest amount, trying to increase it to the highest amount. So they outsource to get it for a lot more. Now those jobs aren't here. Now we're stuck with it. Yep. So like our parents, they kind of were, they kind of like squeaked by it a little bit. Like they just made it. But for us, it's gonna be hard, especially when and I'm speaking in general, 60 years old and 70 years old. like that's gonna be a problem.
One of the things that I was just looking at, like right now, and I would say maybe in an infancy stage, this cryptocurrency called Ethereum. Let's say it was selling, back in 2016 at like 98 cents, and as a investment point, and you would have bought, let's say, 10,000 shares. That's a $10,000 investment. Today, you would have been a multimillionaire because, in the past 2 years, selling, at 212 now, instead of 98 cents, it's grown in its value. So in today's age, why would somebody want to go, hey, you know what? I have enough money to buy, or invest. Why should I not go put $212 and buy a share of Apple and then go buy one coin of Ethereum? What's going to guarantee me that, I need something tangible to hold on to. Now, this coin, is it going to be secure? Is it going to keep going up in value? Or am I going to worry about, it tomorrow crashing, just like the stock exchange would crash?
Oh, yeah. Answer that question.
These are the things. These are the things that wait a minute.
Can I answer that by asking you a question? Why do you think Apple is a better investment?
I'm not saying it's a better investment.
Okay.
I'm saying people thinking, hey, I got a share of Apple.
You're speaking for the general.
I'm being
general
general
person.
public.
Okay.
I'm buying a share of Apple, and Apple.
Yeah.
Everybody has an iPhone, and they're going into new markets now, like China and India, which are in their infancy stage. So Apple's going to continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, can I just say, so I would put the statement out there that the reason why people are like, oh yeah, why don't I just buy Apple, is because people understand Apple. People understand what Apple's about. But in the 1980s, did people understand what Apple was about? That's when you bought Apple and you held on to it until now. And, those are, it's getting into something when you understand it early, but maybe the general public doesn't. And so right now, something like Ethereum, like Tony was saying, is there's amazing things that it could potentially do, but we still don't understand the technology because it's so new, or most people don't understand the technology because it's so new.
What was the guy's name that made it? Vitalik
Buterin.
So he's
He's a genius.
I know, he's like, what, 19?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
I kind of think he's an alien.
Yeah, he's so
Doesn't he
skinny.
look
It's
like, the first time I saw him, I was like, he's an alien.
the
For
way
sure. He's at
yes,
least a hybrid or something.
dang it, I wish I could pull it up. Yeah, tell me about it. He looks crazy, and he was he's playing World of Warcraft and got mad that they changed how the game was played, so he got into cryptocurrency.
Well, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm like, but with Ethereum though, like, just with having smart contracts attached to it, and just the basis of why he made it in Ether and all this stuff, like the belief of it, you do realize that certain, like, a lot of electronics, a lot of things, like even those smart refrigerators that we're talking about are going to run off Ethereum. What's being done, when you talk about something tangible, there's things being made that are going to run off of blockchain. Yeah. That already should tell you, wait, it's what? It's going to be made off it? Companies, Sony, Samsung, huge big companies are buying and getting into
Walmart
it. Yes.
Filed the blockchain patents.
They bought the blockchain patents. Like, they're everything that we're talking about, the cryptocurrencies, which the blockchain is what they run off of, things are being made from there. So yes, tangible things are out there for it. Yeah. Like, there's people are always obsessed with they're always obsessed with privacy, right? There's an actual company that actually makes they make a blockchain, right? And this blockchain is dedicated to your privacy as a person. Now, I know we were talking about how everybody sees this and this and that, but you have to think about it, break it down in terms of the internet, how it is now. When you go out and do anything on the internet, I don't care, you go matchups.com, wherever you go, Sean, I don't know where you go, wherever you go, and you're on there, and you're like, and you're doing little things, or you're making an email, or you're, Facebook, or you did this or that, or little transactions, you're leaving crumbs. You're leaving little cookies, crumbs, things like that. We all know that. But there's an actual blockchain that's dedicated to literally almost having like your own personal black box, that when you're out there, it literally will collect all that information and nobody else gets that, just you. It's crazy. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, even with identity, it's helping with bank transactions. When you're talking about a decentralized world, this is like, blockchain's going to be at the base of all this. Yeah. So it's going to be the most tangible thing, I think, that you can like actually have out there.
And just for the crypto newbie, there's 2,000 different types of coins out there. So any of the cryptos can be referred to as coins. So the Bitcoin we already talked about is the original one built on blockchain technology. But then Bitcoin was all open source, so other people are able to take that coding and create their own projects based on it. And so Bitcoin's a currency. It's meant to be a currency. It's also meant to be a banking system built into the same thing. So it's a value that you can transfer between people. But then something like Ethereum, what it's supposed to be is a platform that people can build these amazing projects like you're talking about. And EOS is kind of trying to do something similar, but Ethereum was first. So there's currencies built on the blockchain. There's platforms like Ethereum built on the blockchain. And then there's also utilities built on the blockchain. So coins that are supposed to be usable for like a good or a service, like a way of tokenizing goods into a crypto
kind of like
value.
the decentralized Uber, like you talked about. That would be something that would be like a utility built upon Ethereum.
Well, Ethereum too. What is it that he always talks about? DOAs, decentralized, automative, or DA somethings. Decentralized automated companies.
Oh, decentralized autonomous organizations.
Autonomous organizations,
DAO,
bro. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Do you know what those are? They're
I'm not super versed on
and this is what I mean. My ignorance on fire. Like I'm just like I hear it once and I'm like, oh my gosh, what? It's where the company runs on itself. Like they built the code in, they built the protocols. Once in a while, someone will check up on it. But as long as there's a set rules and policies, the entire company can run on its own, bro. Like people are getting fired. No more elevator, man. Like I'm serious.
You don't need a CEO anymore.
Right? It's like it's crazy. Yeah, companies will really run on their own. Like I don't know. It's crazy. I just think that I'm seeing it and I'm like, wait, this is where everything is going. And when we talk about opportunities, it's never an opportunity, if everybody sees it. This is something that everybody, when you talk to the average person, they don't see it. And I'm almost happy about it. Yeah. I was like, good, let me hurry up and get mine and then you guys can see it. But yeah,
it's kind of like like the game of spades. The idea of spades. If anyone knows how to play it, the key is to say, "Well, show me how to play spades." No, like that. Like that's the whole point. That the whole point of me telling you is the strategy. So it's kind of I look at it that way. But like you're talking about, I'm big on the education piece when it comes to it, and when I think a lot of people, kind of like what Sean was talking about as far as a guarantee, is you're not just like when he referenced Apple. I think too many people are the quick twitch, the quick turnaround, the quick flip.
Yep.
You got to get out of that mindset.
Definitely.
And that's with anything. I don't care whether it's crypto or anything that you're trying to reserve or try to go toward. It's not going to be that fast. I think that trying to make it seem that everyone else has that same idea that it's going to be a quick flip is bad. Or giving in that idea that it's going to be this, okay, get rid of the current currency that we're on right now, this cash monetization, and and you're going to flip your money like this. I think that's disingenuous. And I think that's where it starts with the education. And I think there's too many people out there that kind of have that mindset. Yeah. And then they have a bad experience and they're like, okay, this doesn't work. And that's with anything. You could do that with stocks. Yeah. And someone said, do this in stocks, and then you lost all your money. It's like, oh, stocks doesn't work. Well, no, you have to move around. You're gonna take a loss. You're gonna lose a little bit. You're gonna have bumps and things like that. This is gonna happen.
Well, I think that's an interesting distinction, because like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, I kind of talk about Bitcoin a little more specifically in this case. You can either think about it as a quick flip or like an investment, or you can think about it as a revolutionary way to store your value. And that is a longer, it's a longer time preference. So do you want something now, or do you know that if you wait for this thing that is superior to become something in the future, that it will be better? So that's exactly what you're saying.
I almost feel like it could be both. Like someone like totally. Sean that I see him do all the time. He'll take stocks and he'll flip them and make like a quick $1,000 in that week or something. It's like, I think someone like him, if he saw cryptocurrency, someone like me, no, I'm not into that. So I'm just gonna invest in what I'm gonna do my research on everything. Oh, okay, new blockchain out for, it's called the Petro. Venezuela's gonna start using it. Shoot, let me it's only a penny now. It's gotta at least get to $1, and I put into it, and I just wait over the next 5 years as the country fixes itself, and then boom, I make money. Versus Sean, someone like you, like, if you look into everything, all the cryptocurrencies out there, you're a day trader, bro. Like, you would literally be like, oh, shoot, let me do this. Let me switch this. Oh, this blockchain is for this. This blockchain's for that. This blockchain's for this. Let me do all this. And you would actually I think you could make a quick flip on it, like someone like you.
I think that right now, a lot of companies, Goldman Sachs, there's a lot of people are putting together funds, and they're getting people money that they have given to them to invest, and they're looking for new investments. And I think that with better understanding of what cryptocurrency is in what I would say the short and the long term goals will be, will they get regulated? Will they be able to be something that can be exchanged on the stock exchange? As it gets further in, will the investments that are people making?
Are you talking about R3? This company R3 something. Now they're getting involved. Goldman Sachs put like 15 million into it.
Right.
All the big players have been buying this year.
I don't like that.
All of them.
I'm like, wait, why do they want to get involved?
See, we like it because it means mass adoption.
Yeah, that's true.
Doorways are opening, and for us,
Means we're winning.
We're preaching transition here. Right. It's not about going all in overnight. It's buy a little bit here and there.
But just another thing also to look into, like with these big masses coming in with this big money, and they're buying all this, getting in investing it in crypto, you can also open a door to other things that may go wrong. And one of the things is like, when I buy shares of stock to sell, I buy them at a certain level, and then they, as it gains value, you make money and then you sell it. But then there's other people that will try to make money on devaluing it and buying it at a higher rate, and it's let's devalue it.
Well, that's day traders, they're
shorting the stock,
and that happens with every asset,
right? Mm-hmm. So as we allow more people, investors, and more bigger companies to come in, we also have to look at that too, because it could be a positive thing, it could be a negative thing. It's really hard to tell, I think, at this time. But as long as it is, we get the word out and we get people to understand it, the more they understand it, the more they see it, it will become almost like second nature.
Would you say, from what he's saying, like them getting into it, it'd be a good thing in a sense that now that they're doing that, it's almost like saying like, okay, it is going somewhere, but could it be bad because now because they want to centralize it, they do. So it's like, could they figure out a way to do that?
That's the amazing thing about Bitcoin is that it doesn't matter if the governments want to get into it and the governments want to control it. It doesn't matter if these corporations want to buy it up and they want to control it. Bitcoin is decentralized. They cannot control the nodes. It's the network, or the nodes are the computers that support that blockchain we're talking about. So they cannot control that. They might be able to affect the price short term, but why would they buy it at $6,000 and then try to tank it after that? They've spent hundreds of millions of dollars buying Bitcoin right now.
And also, Bitcoin's transparent. The transactions are transparent on the blockchain. So, there's people who spend a lot of time looking and seeing these big wallets that are loading a bunch of money, and they say, oh, I bet that's Goldman Sachs, and I bet that's the backed New York Stock Exchange and Microsoft and Starbucks.
BAKKT.
Yeah, so people are looking at these wallets getting loaded with this Bitcoin, and so, it's all open. Anyone can see that going on, and that's kind of one of the cool things. There can't be any dishonesty, really, in the Bitcoin blockchain.
Transparency of the ledger. That's very important.
Yeah.
And also, one side note I wanted to make too was, whether you bought Bitcoin when it was $2,000 or bought it when it was $19,000, if you buy half a Bitcoin, Bitcoin can be divisible into as small as a Satoshi, which is 1/100th million of a Bitcoin. So there's the dollar has 2 decimal points after it, right? So you can do 25 cents. Bitcoin has 8 decimal points. Oh, wow. So it can be broken into teeny tiny little amounts. So you could buy that's why you can buy $20 worth of Bitcoin or $20,000 worth of Bitcoin. You're just getting different amounts of Bitcoin and Satoshis in combination. So what I was going to say about that is no matter what, Ryan tells me this all the time, you have to think about Bitcoin not in terms of US dollar value, but in terms of its Bitcoin value. So if you own half a Bitcoin, it's always going to be half a Bitcoin. Whether today that half a Bitcoin is worth $3,000, tomorrow that half a Bitcoin could be worth $10,000. So instead of seeing it as US dollars, seeing it for what it really is, which is a certain amount of a Bitcoin. So it's it's an interesting shift in perspective.
So with gaining value, so if you buy half a Bitcoin, let's say at 2,000, and then it goes up to 10,000. So your investment at 2,000 is now 8,000 more. So you have gained on your investment. So is the government going to now tax you on that? Because that can be considered capital
It's not
gains.
taxable until you sell it.
Until you sell it.
So but they just said this last year, which it wasn't this way before, that if you sell Bitcoin by trading Bitcoin, like half a Bitcoin for Ethereum, that's a taxable event. So
Wait, that's going to be taxable?
that's taxable now. Yeah. So you
Oh.
go buy it. Yeah.
I know, which is kind of unfair because that's not the way it works in stocks.
No.
So it's kind of this weird, unfair double standard
Yeah.
on cryptos.
It's like double dipping. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, before it was viewed as a like kind investment, which is, I'm not sure exactly where they use that in other places, but that would mean that it's basically the same thing. You're just trading it for another of the same asset, so you can't be taxed on it. But they took that away. So yeah, they're.
Do you know what justification they had for that?
Because Bitcoin went to 20,000 and they want their cut. I don't think they said that, but that's my guess.
But that's
Yeah, they didn't do anything before when it was under $1,400, but
okay.
Everybody wants a piece of that 10x.
So my next question would be this then, because I'm always wondering, I guess my question is, do you think it would ever replace fiat completely? Because then it begs the question that if we're investing in it, the scary part is you'd be investing in it with the hopes that, wow, I'm gonna come up on money, and all of a sudden it's like, nah, we're not using a dollar no more, bro. Now you only have this much, and it's just like regular savings you just put into versus, you're thinking you're gonna make 100,000, now you just kind of just came out even the 6,000 you saved, you kind of just have 6,000 in cryptocurrency. Would there be a time where it was right to sell right before the US dollar crashed, or can we depend on a petrodollar? What?
I mean, I think you can just look at what's happening in Venezuela with hyperinflation. And, It didn't start off super fast at first, but at some point it took off, So basically, if you would have bought, when the Venezuelan currency was still strong, if you would have bought some Bitcoin with it, you would have been able to buy a lot, but the purchasing power of their Venezuelan currency went down and down and down and down, right? And so then they couldn't buy the same amount of Bitcoin you could have bought before, or the same amount of goods or anything like that. So I think these things happen a little bit more slowly than that. Generally, I don't think we're usually having crash scenarios happening. I mean, that kind of stuff is possible, but I think usually it's a little bit more of a transition, and it's happening a little bit more slowly. So if you're paying attention, I think you'll see it before it gets to that point. So that's why for us, we tell people it's about transition. Don't go all in. That's, extremes are not usually the answer to anything. Moderation often is. So transitioning in a little bit at a time, because we don't know what's going to happen, but we can hedge our bets if we start to shift a little bit.
Honestly, I think some form of fiat currency will always be around. We were just talking about this earlier, actually, that, the government can't say, oh yeah, we're going to start accepting Bitcoin right now, because that automatically devalues their currency. That, they're the only thing backing their money. So they're not going to say, hey, yeah, use this other money.
They're not going to devalue themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, that would just be stupid of them.
Unless another country does it, says that they don't want to trade in US dollars anymore.
That they're only going to trade in Bitcoin or only in the Venezuelan petro.
Right.
Or now Iran is actually starting their own form of the petro.
Well, your people.
And I think what we're going to see here shortly is cryptocurrency being used to buy and sell oil, crude oil, trading crude, or supplies, even, when it comes to, selling, Boeing might sell their planes, and only accept Bitcoin.
That's what Petro is I think almost all, there's 6 different types, but they're all, I think 3 or 2 of them are based on their oil, isn't it?
It's allegedly oil backed.
Yeah, it's oil backed.
And it's oil backed, so then that would make it easier and a smoother transition too if you use crypto. And it could be used for many things: real estate, like I said, oil, arms. I mean, it could be used by almost any country. So yeah, there's different countries, especially in the Middle East, they're going to start using that as a form of payment.
We were just listening to Andreas Antonopoulos, who's a really smart guy. You should Google that guy. And he was talking tonight about schematics. Is that what it was?
Oh, man, I can't remember.
So
that word.
basically, what it means, the way he explained it, if I'm using the right word, was that we can't imagine the world the way it's going to be. So we try to imagine applications that are similar. So it makes a lot of sense that we would say we're going to decide to make a cryptocurrency that's backed by oil because that's familiar to us. We are used to having currencies that are backed by something. And we don't really understand when we have a cryptocurrency that's not backed by anything that's tangible because it's not familiar to us. So at first we're going to go for the familiar and we're going to back currencies with oil, we're going to back them with gold, or we're going to back them with whatever physical commodity. But as the ecosystem continues to evolve and change, those kind of things might morph into something we can't even imagine right now. Right now, we're just exploring a reality that is similar to the one we're already in. But as we go forward, that model may be what's not working now, and it may be a totally new model that might come forward in the future.
Right, yeah. Kind of like how you were talking about with Bitcoin, how like it's just traded the way it is, but you could still, because of the way the ledger's written, you can add to it and keep adding to it and keep adding to it. That's cool. Like,
yeah. And another thing too is like countries like China, Russia, and other countries that because Iran has sanctions against it that was put forth just recently. They're going to be trading their oil for gold and supplies and things of that nature, so they can keep their keep their country going, and keep everything moving. I don't think that these sanctions are going to stop it. So if we can use cryptocurrency to keep the cycle going and get the oil to the people that need it and get Iran or other countries the money that they need, I think that this is going to be something that the governments are forcing these other countries and people to use cryptocurrency, and instead of worrying about, hey, I got $1.
So I heard this, and now that you kind of say that, I heard somebody kind of say this, because on the show we talk about New World Order and things like that, and part of the New World Order is to have a one world government, a one world currency,
the Amero.
You know what I mean? And I'm like thinking, when they talk about one world currency, could this be a sneak? You know what I mean? Of what they're trying to do. Like maybe crypto's the one world currency they're talking about. And maybe it wasn't an actual currency like, the yen or something, but it was like a way of how we do things. Like what if it was? And like everything's in a blockchain and an RFID chip that's put into you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know it's a little.
No, that's
that conspiracy gears going, turning real tough.
I'm like, wait, let's not. If we dub them as smart as we say they are, maybe this is it.
I've definitely had that thought before, but I kind of feel like, the barometer for me is like, okay, the Federal Reserve is still talking shit about it.
That's true.
Like they don't like it. So if they don't like it, it's all right with me, So but they might be using trick psychology on me. I don't know.
Right.
So
I get scared of.
I actually started off as an economics major in college, and I worked at a bank for a couple of years and got really into checking out the Federal Reserve and how our banking system works and all that. And it led me down that road of like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do. The problem's too big. But this is the first time we've ever had a chance. It's an experiment. It might fail, but it's better than doing nothing. And it might be a trick. It might be a trap. But I'm gonna go down fighting.
It's an alternative.
Yeah.
I think it's looking at it from the perspective of, like you mentioned, or Sean also gave the example too, of having $1 million today, and then 40 years from now, 50 years from now, it not being worth that same. So that is going to happen.
Yeah.
On the current track that we're currently on, the way cash money is worked right now, as the currency works right now, that is the track that we're on.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to go on another track that could fail.
Yeah.
The track we're on right now is going to fail.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things. Which one do you want to? You
try
at least this. At least another opportunity has the chance to not fail.
What if you can put one foot on each track?
Right.
What if you can balance between the two? Then
Exactly.
you're really hedging your bets at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to make a Coinbase account tonight? Yeah? Oh,
I
shoot.
think this man needs a Coinbase Pro account so he can do some trading on some crypto. That's the awesome thing about cryptos. You don't need to be a broker, and you don't need to use like the classic exchanges.
Yeah.
They don't need to be listed on a stock exchange. We have somebody who's a dear friend of ours who is doing trading through some kind of brokerage, and he said, I can't buy Bitcoin because it's a $30,000 minimum to put into Bitcoin. And we said, homie, you could buy $5 of Bitcoin today and trade it if you wanted to. Yeah.
Right?
It's just that brokerage that's limiting you. The crypto market itself is open to anybody. And that's part of the reason it acts so crazy. The stock market has a bunch of people playing by the same rules. They know how it's supposed to work, and they're playing by the same general rules. They have the training. Crypto's open to anybody, so it does act a little wild because you got a bunch of newbies in there. We don't know what we're doing, and we're doing crazy stuff, and that definitely does make it volatile. Certainly.
Yes. And that's what worries me the most when I go in there. Like, when I go in to invest, I'm looking at us. And when I go to invest, I'm looking for stocks, and I'm looking for different companies to invest in that I know that it's going to make it move within a day or two, or it's going to move within an hour. It just worries me that I'm going to invest in this, cryptocurrency, and what if in the next hour everybody decides, hey, I'm going to sell all my coins and I'm out, and then just you lose a lot more that way where, with the regulation and what you can see coming. I guess the more I would have to research it, and then I would have to find the trends that are there, because a lot of people, including myself, we go based on trends as well.
Do you look at charts, technical analysis?
Some charts, some tech, trends. Also, the media is also a big player here, especially in the stocks, because just recently they were talking about again the sanctions on Iran. They're like, okay, Iran said nobody can buy oil from them, so we're going to have a shortage of oil. Mm-hmm. Saudi Arabia said, oh, by the way, I can go ahead and increase production for you, so you won't have to feel that. And then Mr. Trump decides to come out and say, oh yeah, we're going to give waivers. Well, why the waivers if you're going to have the sanctions? The sanctions not going to work if you're going to give waivers. So, they're trying to keep things in the public happy, but at the same time, they want to force their agendas.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so I'd just say with cryptocurrency, I do trading, short-term trading, day trading, and swing trading. And when the market is down, it pretty much all follows Bitcoin. But like in the last bull market that happened last November, December, January, that was a really great time to be trading in the altcoins, or like the alternative cryptocurrencies like Ethereum or Litecoin or Digibyte or whatever. Right. That was a great time for those. But it actually, like she was saying, it does react very similarly if you look at the technical analysis, which is studying the charts, to the regular stock markets. But it's amplified because there's a lot of FOMO in it. There's a lot of people speculating, and there's a lot of new people who have no idea what they're doing. So unless you're good, unless you're like skilled like that, I would highly recommend staying away from trading.
I told you.
So, but you would be fine. Yeah, if you know what you're doing, you'd be fine. You know.
But something that we have a digital course that we teach people how to get involved in cryptos, and one of the things we teach people, we don't really go into trading a whole lot because it's really technical. We want people to kind of understand the basics of how it works first, But just knowing when to get in, using your skill set to know when to get in, when something's at a good price. And then a lot of people, it's called like a hodl, or people say hodl, because, you're buying at a good price, and then just, if you have to wait 1 year for it to not be in capital gains anymore, then why not buy something and think, I'm going to hold this for a year and see where it's at after that. And then you could sell it and not have to pay, those really
What's
high
the word they
capital gains.
say?
Hodl. So it was like probably like a Twitter thing.
I
Where
thought it's-
somebody misspelled hold, like hold on. So now it's an acronym for hold on for dear life.
It
So-
was-
I thought that was from Game of Thrones, like Hodor, hold the door.
oh,
I could have sworn, like, was it? Is it? Maybe.
it's like a crypto thing, hodl. It's like
it was from the old Bitcoin forums. Like the last time Bitcoin crashed after the Mt. Gox debacle, somebody was like, "Well, I'm already in it so deep, and I'm already so far underwater. I'm holding it."
Yeah.
So,
and they
anyways.
spelled it wrong. So
I had a good.
Oh no, I was just saying because mine, again, I'm not big. Like I'm not a day investor. I don't know how to like do stuff like this. But like with me, with like getting Coinbase, I'm just putting money into it. And to me, it's just like we tell ourselves, can we just take $100 and put it down the toilet? Sure, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Boom, and that's how my mindset is.
Yeah.
So I got a boring. My strategy is boring. Like it's literally just put money in, and then whatever happens, happens. But
Yeah.
knowing
That's a strategy that 98% of people should be doing, though.
Oh,
Most people should
okay.
be doing that strategy.
Oh shoot, I'm
Yeah,
good then.
So you're good.
Okay, because I was like, man, my strategy is not really, and I'm really getting into Ethereum. Again, we were talking about this earlier, but
Yeah.
I'm really on the Ethereum Classic right now, and I'm
Yeah.
putting more into that than anything else.
Yeah.
Just because to me, I kind of feel just because of where it's gonna go in terms of what companies are gonna use it and what they're gonna use it for. It's gonna be something that's it's gonna be relevant. Like
Yeah.
it's like someone saying, we have this new company that takes salt out of the water and we're going to make this new water company. I'm like, wait, the Earth's made out of 70-80% water. Are you kidding me? I'm going to invest in that company because that's like, that makes sense to me. Like, wait, they're going to take all the salt out of there, which they can, but I mean, that's the company I'm going to go for. Like, it just makes sense to me that if they're going to do all this and they're at this much right now, and they're going to start selling it to everybody, it's going to go up. Like,
yeah, this is a long-term game.
Yeah.
This isn't a short-term game. It was exciting last year. It seemed like more of a short-term game to buy in at $2,000 or less, and to sell at $20,000. It seems like a short-term game, but it's really not. We're going long here. This is going to be some experts say 2 to 5 years, maybe even more than that. So putting a little bit here and there and thinking this is my savings account for 5 years.
I'm saying a year. Only reason why I'm saying that is because what I was telling you, Sean, earlier was because I have a Fidelity account that has, half the money I used already for purchasing the home and stuff like that. And the other half, I want to put all of it. And you disagreed with me on this one, but I want to put all of it into cryptocurrency because I feel, because they're waiting on it right now. Because right now you can hold money in cryptocurrency right now in Fidelity if you want to, if you have a Fidelity
They
account.
just started allowing that.
Right?
Yeah.
October 15th or something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, are you serious? They're going to make it an ETF soon? Like, that got me excited because I'm like, wait, I'll be able to trade it now?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, if they allow that, it's going to skyrocket. It's got, to me,
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to make it go up, afterwards.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Fidelity, they are in control of trillions of dollars worth of assets, right? Like at least hundreds of billions, and that money is going to want some exposure to cryptocurrencies.
yep.
I had a question just for you guys because Sean touched on it a little bit on the political side. What political influence
Elections.
does it have as far as with cryptocurrency, if any? Like that would be one of my questions. And this is even though I have my own opinion, but I'm asking for people who are listening, and for the general person who might be getting into crypto, what political? We obviously know what effect it has on the stock market and our own currency, as it stays right now. As far as with crypto, what in your experience do you think it?
So one thing I like to say is that Bitcoin is apolitical. It's not about politics. It's about humans in general, and so it's we all spend our time trading it for money. I always harp on this because that's what money is. Money is just a token of our energy spent.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter what political affiliation you are or what country you live in. Bitcoin is global. So it literally has no politics. It's above politics, and it kind of just takes the energy out of a system like that and gives power to people who have not been empowered through currency.
And even if you do go to the political side, when it comes to elections and things like that, where people are worried, especially in other countries, because there's a lot of voter fraud in other countries, the blockchain is going to secure it to where those votes do come from that person. You know, it comes from them. You can see on the ledger that it comes from that person. It's the most secure way you can have government.
I worked in elections for 2 years. That was my county job that I had.
Really?
And they're definitely moving in that direction. There's a lot of companies working on
Were they
blockchain
already starting
technology.
to use it when you were working?
They were talking about it. They've been talking about it more and more at conferences because it's definitely the most efficient way to do that. But yeah, blockchain can add a lot of honesty into the political system. And what I have to say is, I mean, I was one of those people who stayed up till 2 a.m. counting the ballots on election day. So I know those people work really, really hard to be very, very honest, but there's always human error. And so with something like blockchain, you're eliminating human error. So it really can make something like that much more accurate, quick, and efficient, certainly.
So, one last thing, just is this for people that are using, because somebody might ask questions that, well, if I want to do this, what do I have to do to get started? I would say, first off, they should go to your guys' website to actually, go on there and learn how to do it, because you don't want to make the mistakes. You guys have probably, before you started, probably made a lot of mistakes.
We made
that
the
you're talking
mistakes.
about, right? So
We've made them all.
Yeah, we want to teach people to not make them. I mean, we've spent thousands of hours researching this, and we don't think that people necessarily need to do that if you know where to go. So, and we try to make it simple. Yeah, you could definitely go to our website, thecryptocouple.com. We do have a free training on there that shows you how to buy crypto on Coinbase, like how to set up your Coinbase account step by step. We also talk there on that free training that we have about the debt of the United States, how it keeps getting worse, and how Bitcoin.
So you guys have that training on there that educates.
Yeah,
what we're
it's
talking
right
about
on our
earlier.
homepage.
Oh,
It's
that's
a free
awesome.
training. Yeah, it's like 15 minutes, and it has the step-by-step Coinbase. There's even a printable guide, so if you're like, I'm scared to do the Coinbase thing, it's really easy, honestly, but if you need a little help, it's on there. You just have to put your email in, and then you'll get it sent to you. But basically, there's only 2 ways you can get Bitcoin or cryptos, and one is you mine it, or 2 is you buy it. Those are the only 2 ways you can get crypto. Most people don't mine because, as we were talking about before the show, it's very expensive. You have to have technical knowledge and expensive equipment, and you have to keep it running, and there's a lot of costs and technicality involved, and most people aren't interested in that. So buying is what's easiest for people. So if you're going to buy it, there are exchanges online that accept fiat. They accept dollars that you can buy cryptocurrency. So Coinbase is the most popular one. It is the easiest one to use. That's why we tell people start with Coinbase, get familiar with the process. Once you become comfortable with that, you can kind of open up your horizons a little bit more. But another way is a Bitcoin ATM. So there's a Bitcoin, Coin Radar, ATMradar.com.
They're really making.
Yes, it's like
There's tons of them. There's
tons
a
of
bunch
them.
in Sacramento.
Roseville, everywhere.
You go put cash into it.
Yep, you hit the button. So what you have to do is have a wallet on your phone already. So the BRD wallet, Bread wallet is a good one to have.
Or the blockchain.com wallet.
Blockchain.com wallet. So you download your own wallet, and then you basically use a QR code. So you could put $20 in the machine, and it's going to say, okay, I'm ready to give you $20 of Bitcoin. So you have to be able to receive that Bitcoin. Obviously, you have to somehow walk away with it from the machine. So you scan your phone wallet, and that's a really easy way to buy Bitcoin for beginners. It's a super easy way because all you have to do is have that wallet, and you can buy any increment. You are going to be paying kind of a steep price with that. They definitely do charge because there's a lot of convenience with that, and so people do charge more for the Bitcoin ATMs. The fees are higher there than they are for something like Coinbase, but it's a really convenient way to do that, and you can use
You're
cash.
not linking your bank account to it.
And for people that probably use this now, especially if you club with people and they don't know how to pay for their part of the booth, you could actually use, if you can see this right here, guys, this is my Snapchat. Look what it says. It literally says you can now use the Cash App to buy and sell Bitcoin.
That's cool.
Wow.
Like that's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome, yeah.
And a lot of people use Cash App. Almost everybody I know, I'm making them use Cash App, but they don't use it. Like this is great. Like they have it on their website already. And you just said the ATMs, which ATMs at first I thought to myself, Like, I literally was thinking this as you were saying it. I was like, nah, it's just going to be more of a novelty. But no, that's, I mean, if they're using it on Cash App already,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, you just cash out the money? Cool. Oh, let me go to this ATM real quick. You send it to me in Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Let me just use this. Hey, give me a little extra for the fees.
Yeah.
Boom. And you just go in and, like, pull out your money. Like, that's
Exactly.
going to be so easy. That's
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah, it's an easier way to get. And there are a lot of people who have cash and,
And are
don't have a bank account.
unbanked.
Even.
There's
Yeah.
Bitcoin serves a lot of people who are unbanked, cannot get a bank account for one reason or another, or don't want a bank account for one reason or another. And so, with the Bitcoin ATMs, you can transact in a certain amount without having to show identification. And so for a lot of people, that's a benefit. If you are here illegally and you're scared to get a bank account, but you really want to send money to your family across the border, you could use a Bitcoin ATM and send it to them in cash, and no one would ever know that, So it definitely does open up opportunities for
That's beautiful.
for money to
That's-
be able to.
The guys
start-
operating the trap house have just gotten educated. All they heard was no ID.
No idea.
There are limits. You have to pay attention. There are limits because the Bitcoin ATMs are under some of the same laws as banks are to a certain amount. So you have to kind of pay attention to that. But yeah, you can definitely buy some Bitcoin and no
like-
one would ever know.
It's like, can you imagine? It's like, hey, can I get 2 iPhone 10s, 256 gig? You have to use cash card. I heard I can use Bitcoin now. Like, oh my gosh. Oh,
One of the things I want to bring up, and we were talking about a little bit of politics involved in here. We have a lot of people that are here from other countries. I know Mexico is one of them because it borders the southern United States, and I see that a lot of people come here, they work here, like you were saying, they want to send money back, maybe to family members. I know one of the things that Donald Trump said that if Mexico doesn't help pay for the wall, then we're going to tax the money that's being wired from the United States back to Mexico. We're going to tax that money at a high-end tax that we're going to put on that money. So when you go to send this money, because you're an immigrant here working, and then we're going to tax you, you're going to try to send this money back to your family, we're going to tax you for that to pay for the wall. A wall that the Mexican president already says that he's not going to pay for and
not
does
on
not
the
support.
blockchain.
Can't do that
But-
to Bitcoin.
Can't do that on a blockchain.
But if you use Bitcoin and crypto and
Yeah.
they don't tax it, and it's something that's secure. And
Yep.
again, I'm going to come back to security because actually I have somebody who asked me about that just now through a text because they're watching Redpill Station. They were talking about the security because I have myself heard that people, famous people that have bought Bitcoins and had their Bitcoin stolen from them. And whether it was somebody hacked them on purpose or accidentally or whatever, it was taken. And so how do they get that money back? How do you secure
Can
that?
I first say we love this question because we do Crypto Street interviews. It's called the Crypto Street Pulse. It's on our YouTube channel, which is the Crypto Couple on YouTube. And we interview people and ask people randomly on the street who we don't know questions about Bitcoin and crypto. And we have heard every misconception or rumor or news that people hear. We've heard it all. And we love to hear stuff like that because it allows us to kind of clear the air about it.
That's definitely one of them. And the thing about Bitcoin is it cannot be hacked because of blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is distributed and decentralized, and it requires computing power that we don't currently have for one small entity to hack it. That being said, people have to connect to the Bitcoin network using their phones, using their computers, in that way. And, if they left their password to their Coinbase account on like Google Drive or something, and that can be easily hacked. Or, there are people, I don't know how to do it, but there are people who can easily hack into cell phones.
So they didn't necessarily steal or hack the Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They
They hack
hacked
the
it.
apparatus that's used to access the Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just
Exactly.
requires you are fully responsible for your
That
own.
makes sense, yeah.
You know, it is a free currency, but that makes you have to have more responsibility.
You can't like walk into the Bitcoin bank and say I lost my Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There's no Bitcoin bank to walk into and no one to
Exactly.
help you.
Yeah.
And also Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, who we don't know who that is, he has the largest Bitcoin wallet on the blockchain, millions and millions of dollars. So if anybody was ever going to get their wallet hacked, it would be his. So if you ever hear about that wallet getting hacked, you got to start worrying about yours. But in the meantime, no one's going to target your,
Does
wallet.
it real quick on the conversation of this person that created it? That's another reason why I was like, who are they that created it?
Yeah.
But like, who is that person? Did you guys hear about the guy named Craig White that's saying
yeah.
I am him? What is that real? Is that what is that?
No. There's actually some drama. Like, there's somebody who died in like 2015, I think it was, or maybe it was 2013, a little earlier. And him and Craig Wright were partnering, and that was allegedly Satoshi that died, and Craig stole his documents and stole Bitcoin that they were both in possession of the private keys of, and now that person's family is suing Craig Wright. So there's some interesting drama going on with that.
Oh wow.
And so it's kind of the same thing with the Bitcoin blockchain. There's a consensus between the Bitcoin community that Craig Wright is full of it. So
okay.
So
makes sense.
just based on some of the things he's said, he's very likely not Satoshi. He's very likely mentally ill.
And people have asked us to, oh, isn't it weird that we don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is? Isn't that kind of devalue Bitcoin in a way to not know who is the founder of it? Yeah, and for us, we say actually, that kind of adds to its value, because if you knew who that person was, can you imagine what does Bitcoin do? It's directly a target to banks and our currency. Can you imagine that person would have been assassinated already? I mean, that person's in a lot of danger at releasing such an disruptive technology.
He would have had a stairs accident.
Exactly.
Something.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the James Halliday now, though. You know what I mean?
No, it's
And
funny you brought that reference in from
Yeah.
Ready Player One, because I don't know that much about the founder of Bitcoin, but based on your guys' conversation, it seems pretty in alignment with that, because I did see Ready Player One.
I gotta
I'm
watch
excited
that
to
movie.
watch
And
it. Yeah.
I had to have a deeper. I think me and you talked about it. I had an even deeper meaning how Ready Player
that's
One
cool,
played
man.
out.
Yeah.
Like as far as that movie, and I didn't even think the movie was all that great. Like as far as a film, because I'm a big film person.
Okay.
But as the undertone meaning behind it, like the reading between the lines of it, I was
Yeah.
like, somebody was putting something in this,
I
like
love
filming
movies
this
like
movie.
that.
Whoever was writing, the screenwriter, whatever, and I know Spielberg directed it, but it was based off a book.
There was a message they were trying to get out.
Something was
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch it now.
Yeah, because you could tell it's about blockchain. Like you're just
Okay.
like, are you kidding me right now?
That's
Like,
interesting. All right.
and it wasn't until I was educating myself on blockchain that I was like, dude, they're talking about Ready Player One. This is crazy. Like the miners, and they have to compute and make it's exactly what you do in the game. Like it's crazy. And so
I have a question. And this question, there's two parts to it. So my question would be, is this something that they're just kind of trying to hide it and keep hiding it and then let it explode onto the scene, kind of like what kind of happened just this last year? Or are they going to try to ease into, hey, we're going to start using crypto now, because somehow they're going to have to let the current currency and crypto coexist together?
well, that's what I was talking to you about was why did the market do what it did? Because we saw, crypto was going up, everything, even the altcoins were all going up, and all of a sudden it just kind of settled down. And I feel like that was deliberate. That's just me personally. I feel like it was deliberate. I think now the banks, because JP Morgan after that started purchasing, I almost feel like it was like, wait, okay, this is for real. Let's set it up, guys. Line it up, slow it down. Let's go ahead and buy everything out. Make sure that we still have control of this, and then we'll start the races again.
Well, the first futures contracts were sold like 2 weeks before the peak of Bitcoin, so maybe they were shorting it or something at that point. But I mean, from a technical analysis standpoint, it like 10x. It went from like $1,400 to like $20,000, more than 10x. So it had exhaustion. Like that's a really high way to rise. So it had to correct, but I think that there could have been some manipulation in how that corrected.
What do you think about like huge investors like, and I can't remember some of their names. I know one of them is the McAfee guy.
Yeah, John McAfee.
John McAfee and somebody else talking about the fact that this could go to quadruple, like quadruple million, like is what he's saying for Bitcoin.
Quadruple, that's interesting. I think at least a million. Like I think Bitcoin will be the means of exchange between governments and between large corporations. So even if you have half a Bitcoin right now, the next generation and your grandchildren will be set like that
with half a Bitcoin too.
With half a Bitcoin.
Well,
that's
and
crazy.
it's based on supply and demand. So when we were talking to those high school kids a couple months ago, whenever it was really recently, but we were telling them, okay, so you guys know how supply and demand works, and they're like, yes, of course, and we were refreshed to know that. But that's why the value of the dollar keeps going down, right? Because we have the supply getting bigger, and the demand is not keeping track. Right. So more dollars are being printed, but there's not more people who necessarily want dollars. There are some, but it's not keeping track. They're printing more than people are wanting. Well, with Bitcoin, what's going to happen is something called the halvening, which is every 4 years, the amount of new Bitcoin that can be born, which the way they're born is by the miners who are processing all the transactions on the blockchain. When they process those transactions, they're getting paid in Bitcoin for doing that. They're competing to earn that Bitcoin, right? So right now they're earning a certain amount of Bitcoin.
12.5 Bitcoin
per every time
like
they
every
solve
10
the
minutes,
equation.
right?
Yeah,
Minutes,
every time they process transactions, if they win it, they're earning that. Well, every 4 years, that number is going to get cut in half, and then again in half, and again in half.
Because supposedly, it's supposed to, by the year 2140, the last Bitcoin will be distributed out, or the last key will be distributed out. So if they keep with these computations that they keep doing, if I said that right, and they keep doing these mathematical and solving these mathematical problems that they're doing over and over and over and winning as fast as they're doing it, it's going to make it harder and more valuable. Because it does make it harder to actually get more Bitcoin. Because I forgot, there's a website you go to, it'll show you a Bitcoin like they're being made, like real time. And I was going to show that on here, but I can't because the upload speeds on, I got to yell at AT&T tomorrow. But anyways, but the upload speeds were, not the upload speeds, the Bitcoins are being made real time. You can watch that being made, but it's slowly over time going to get slower because people are.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the opposite of what's happening with the dollar, right?
Exactly.
The dollar, more dollars being printed. The money supply is getting more and more diluted. And that's the opposite what's happening in Bitcoin. It's going to become less and less are available. But at the same time, you're going to have more and more people wanting it because only a small population of people own Bitcoin right now. And as people start realizing how valuable it is, that demand is going to grow really fast. But the supply the supply is actually going to decrease. So the demand is going to outpace the supply very, very quickly. And when that does, it's going to seek balance at a price that is going to continue to go up.
Exactly. So it could only get more valuable because they just released the last one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you think of it like, especially in our world, where we work, as far as AT&T and how we've been all working for years. We've seen, and we referenced Apple, and we've seen the decline in as far as the line, the shortage of the line for iPhone launch. Every single year, it's gotten less and less and less. Yeah. And the reason, and it has nothing to do with what people feel about iPhone. It has to, because it's still, they talk, iPhone puts their numbers out there and they're still selling plethora of amounts of iPhones. Yeah. But what it is it's the what's funny now is what they used to be is that they would short us on purpose.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because that's that whole idea is basically keeping that value up. Now they basically it doesn't matter because direct fulfillment has changed the game. Direct fulfillment doesn't take 2 weeks anymore. Like it used to when you used to order. Now everybody's ordering online because you got to think about it. Direct fulfillment's been around for a long time. People have been getting stuff through the mail for a long time. It's just that the difference between the people who are getting stuff in the mail and not dealt with patience. does the person who wanted to purchase this want to wait 2 weeks? Because that's how long things took, 7 days, whatever.
Yeah.
Now we got Amazon and how they do things. I get it that same day sometimes
yeah.
or the next day.
Yeah.
So that's changed the game and how that works. So I think that's a part of it now. Apple's just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. But that's how they played the game.
Yeah.
Is they would short us, especially the carriers, on purpose to make it more valuable, more attainable. Now that helped out some middlemen people because they knew it was, I think, what was it when it was the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus came out? I think literally people in China, because they were the last country to get it. I think
We're buying
they
them.
were buying them for like $4,000 or something like that when they came out. Like, I mean, the phone at that time, I think it was $700, $800.
Wow.
And there were people buying, and that's the
supply and
repercussions behind
demand.
that. Yeah,
It finds where it finds its equilibrium. That's where the price will
exactly.
The interesting thing about Bitcoin is that it is the only asset that we have known that will have a capped supply. There will never be more made of it. Even gold, which is incredibly valuable and has an inflation rate of 1% to 2% per year.
I have a question then. So what about when he hard forks something? What is that? Isn't that like creating more of it?
Totally.
Yeah, that's my question. Okay, so and the only reason I ask this, I mean, I might be asking too much. I don't know if you guys get this on your course or not, but when I'm looking at like for instance on Coinbase, and I'm looking at a new coin that they put out, like for instance like this Ox ZRX.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was, and I just threw money into it.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what it was. Well, I was like $10, whatever. I'll get 10 shares. It's only
Because
$1.
it's the cheapest one on there.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yep.
And so,
That's why it's smart to buy it.
and I was like, market cap 382 million.
Yeah.
So that is that the market cap that it'll hit? And then once it hits at 382 million, then I'll gain even more.
It's different for every. So that's the value of it. Okay, so the market cap is calculated by the current supply of the coin multiplied by the current price of the coin.
Oh yeah, okay. Because I'm confused now. Because I remember they talked about 21 million, but then market cap on this is 110 billion with Bitcoin.
Yeah. So Bitcoin, what's the supply currently? Like 14 million or 15?
17.4.
That's the current supply.
Well, and
circulating
they think
supply.
that there's 3 million that might be lost Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
People losing their wallets.
Yeah, so
and
it's
their,
17 million
their
times
devices.
6,400 or whatever it is right now, and that's how you find the market cap.
The market cap. Okay, that makes sense.
But there are coins out there, and
Yeah,
they don't
6.2,
have
okay.
any cap. You know, they're
huh?
unlimited.
But wouldn't that be bad then?
Right.
Yeah,
You would
like
think so, based on
Ripple
supply and demand,
or-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
To us, that puts up a red flag, and that's something we do teach in our course is what criteria to use to vet a coin. And it does take a lot of research, and people usually just want you to tell them what to buy. People don't really want to go down the rabbit hole because there's so much to learn about. But that's definitely one gold nugget, is something that doesn't have a cap supply. Where is that supply and demand value equilibrium going to be found?
Yeah.
True. Oh, and by the way, just let you know, in case you have Coinbase, ETC just went down to 923. That's the lowest it's been this entire month. So you
Time
should,
to pick some up.
right? That's a good. That's why I love Coinbase, because it's so easy to use. I don't know
It is.
anything about stocks,
Yeah.
but I just love the fact that I can go and on the app it'll show you the last day, the last week, the last month, the last year, and you can actually. And I mean, I just kind of feel like I'm guessing. I'm like, you know what? It was doing this and this. It's probably going to do this and this again for the next 2 months. Let's go ahead and go off that. You know what I mean? That's what I've been
that's
doing.
all
So,
chart patterns are, really. Like, people
Right.
get more scientific about it, but it's really just people like, I see this pattern here and it's done this before. Yeah, you're doing the same thing. You know?
yeah, it's cool. I
Have
like
you
it.
checked out coinmarketcap.com?
No.
Okay, yeah, check that out. So that's got all the coins on it. And so for a coin like...
And it's like Coinbase?
no, it's an information site for
Just an
for all
okay.
the coins. So for coins like OX or OX that you said you got.
What's that backed by? What is even...
So OX is a decentralized protocol, I believe. It's for decentralized exchanges. So yeah, it's another one of those utility tokens built upon the Ethereum blockchain.
Which to me sounds like they're going to use it forever, so I'm getting it.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
and Coinbase is putting it there for a reason.
Yeah, Coinbase is
Right.
strategically putting it there. So yeah.
Because there are 2,000 coins on the market, and Coinbase is only selecting some coins to add to be available. And there's a reason why they're choosing the coins that they're choosing.
Because they're probably going to be relevant in the future.
Exactly.
I'm telling
Or
you.
for their specific agenda. Yeah.
So
Right.
if you had to pick a top 5, which one would it
Bitcoin,
Bitcoin. Yeah, no, I really like okay, so there are people who are involved in cryptocurrency who are called Bitcoin maximalists, and they're people who believe nothing else matters except for Bitcoin, and there's no room for anything else.
Well, and can I just say really quickly that part of the reason for that is because we were talking about before the show that Bitcoin is an open source. So if something's a privacy coin or has smart contracts or all these really amazing features, Bitcoin actually can have those features added onto it later on if people want to. So Bitcoin could later on do the function that all those coins do. So that's why the people who are those Bitcoin maximalists are like, we don't need all the other coins because Bitcoin could potentially do all of that.
But I think that once Bitcoin becomes extremely valuable, you're not going to want to build smart contracts on top of it, or maybe some, but you're not going to want to like run your refrigerator on it, or like what you were saying about Ethereum. So yeah, I think it's an ecosystem, and just like in the .com crash when like 99% of those .com companies failed, but we were left with Amazon and we were left with Yahoo and we were left with some of those others. The same thing is going to happen here. So the important thing is finding coins that actually do something interesting. So Ethereum will be around, I think, maybe not indefinitely, anything could happen, but I think Ethereum, Bitcoin, Digibyte is a really cool one. It's only like 3 cents and it does amazingly fast transactions.
Do you get that on Binance?
No, that's on Bittrex.
Digibyte.
That's
Digibye.
It's like Digimon monsters. That's funny.
Yeah, Digibyte is awesome. It's way faster than Bitcoin, and its supply is higher. That's why its price is lower, but its technology is amazing.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so
And then people really like Dogecoin too, right?
it's a meme coin. Yeah, that people just like it because it's the cool thing to do.
It was that one with the dog face,
is.
wasn't
Dog,
it?
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
Dogecoin.
So-
that's where I lost money. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't reinvest
You lost
because
money on
I went to like invest in it,
Yeah.
but here's the problem. It wasn't. I'll give it to. It wasn't the coin that made me lose money. It was the site I bought it from was a fake site, and I lost
gotcha,
$40 that I put into it.
Yeah.
And I lost $40, and that's when I was like, crap. And I was still looking for ways to get into Bitcoin
Yeah.
in 2011, and still couldn't figure out a way. And that's
yeah.
literally that little $40 lesson I should have used
Yeah.
as a life lesson
Yeah.
and reinvested into Bitcoin again
That's
because it was
all
only
right.
like $13 at the time.
You're still
It's
early.
not too late.
Yeah,
It's
you're
I don't think it's too late
you're
either,
Still
yeah.
early. Seriously,
So-
yeah. Don't sweat it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
You're in the right place at the right time.
I know. I've never been so excited because it just makes.
But the
yeah.
reason I brought up Dogecoin is because the community of supporters behind a coin really do have a lot to do with its value. So there's a lot of people out there who are really support Bitcoin, a lot of people out there who really support Ethereum. And then Dogecoin, it's this random meme coin of this really cute dog, and people love it. And so I don't see something like that going away just because it has this community of people who are just so obsessed with it. They will nurture it into, staying relevant in the market.
I wish I could show these pictures. But yeah. Do you guys have any other questions?
Well, it looks like there's a lot of coins, like you said, out there, a lot of cryptocurrency. And the reason I asked what the top 5 is, and you said, of course, Bitcoin. When we talk about money, we talk about dollars, okay? Which is a Benjamin, a Franklin, a Washington. When we talk about Bitcoin, we're talking about a coin. And I think that in people's head, coin.
There's no actual coin, right? And there's no actual physical. Why do they have these
Not
pictures
the
of
best
coins?
word to describe it.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the
It's
best
in
word.
people's brain. It's
That's
like
that's to put it in their
No,
mind.
but when you
That-
go
that
online-
it has some type of value. I mean, that was in the word coin is an old term. That's how people used to talk and say, "Do you got?" The
But
coin?
you know what's sad though? If you were to
That's what
type
that
in
is.
Bitcoin and hit like Google Images, you'll see coins that say B, and it's like,
Yeah.
and it's so misleading. I'm like, wait, there's
That's
not,
marketing.
there's not
That's
a
what it
physical,
is. It's
yeah.
marketing. is.
It's stupid. I'm like, why are they doing that? Like, it's not an
I mean,
actual
there are
coin.
some people who actually buy gold coins that are have Bitcoin private addresses on them, so they are actually tied to physical
really?
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that does
okay,
exist,
true.
but
I
that's a
didn't-
really small amount of like people who do that
Okay.
because
And
it's just
anybody
kind of a
who
cool
grabs
novelty.
it now owns that Bitcoin
Because it has
it's
the-
confiscatable at
Yeah.
that point,
Yeah.
so it loses the
It
point.
doesn't. Don't lose the whole point of doing
But it has the cool
Exactly.
factor, but it doesn't have the
Right.
inconfiscatable
Is it kind of
factor.
like a wallet then?
Yes, it's a wallet,
but
in
not
the
a
phone.
very secure
Yeah.
one.
Right.
So
Holy
I
cow.
can
Okay.
literally take.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you literally take it and
Yeah.
do whatever you want with it.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, because that's not. Yeah. Ugh. Ooh, I'm not getting one of those coins.
But yeah,
Okay.
it is all digital. It is all online.
Yeah, it's online.
It's all on the
digital.
blockchain.
It's not a, and I think that in people's brain,
Mm-hmm.
when they think about, hey, a coin, first of all, it's a coin. I don't deal with coins. I don't deal with a quarter or a
Yeah.
nickel or a dime. I deal with like dollars.
I know.
I got a Benjamin, I got a Franklin,
Yeah.
I got a Washington.
You're talking to a girl who I don't even touch pennies. I find pennies offensive. I don't touch pennies because I think they're
people bring out
so.
a
Who knows
stack,
where they've been? Yeah, it's a
rubber band. Hey,
bad
look,
word for
I got,
Bitcoin.
here's my 2,000. Here's my 3. People go. You don't see
Yeah.
people go. Let me dig in my pocket. Here's $3,000 in coins. It's like, whoa, wait.
I
hold
just
on.
had another image with that. Go ahead.
It's all bad.
Which is good. I think it's a good thing you can't. That's good.
Well, there's a lot of things that give Bitcoin value. And one of them is the network effect of all the people who believe in it and have supported it to this point. And another thing is the electricity that it takes to mine and process the transactions. Those miners are paying an awful lot of money to keep those machines up and running. And so that electricity is part of what adds to its value. I mean, they call it mining for a reason, because think about if you were to go out and try to get gold or silver, you'd have to put work and energy and you'd need equipment. That's why they use the word mining, because with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, you need that equipment, you're exerting energy, and that's part of what gives it value, because you're trading one thing for another.
Is that what they mean by proof of work when they say that?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well,
That
in
makes
the old
sense then.
days, you used to, back before even money existed, you would go out there as a tradesman. Let's say someone hunts for animals, a bear or whatever, or skins, and then you would trade that for, food or flour or whatever, and that was the kind of trade that took place. Now you work, you get money, which is the cash they give you.
Real quick, and then somebody back then was like, I got this new idea.